What's up, everybody? I am going live with one of my boys, and we're going to be jumping into a quick conversation about what's going on in the world. There's a whole lot going on in the world, and we tend to get into a lot of deep conversations alone. And it was like, yo, bro, let's just take it live. And this might be something that we continue on for a minute, because we really do have a lot of deep conversations that I think anybody would benefit from. So here we go. So I'm giving him a minute before he gets that invite and joins me, because man, there's just so much going on. Where on Monday I got a call from a family member where, well, my mom called me about someone in the family, and that person had 50 bullets shot after them, 11 connected. He's gone, right? That happened on Monday. And then later on, this came and happened yesterday with Charlie. What's up, bro?
Hey, what up, my bro? What's happening with you?
Doing good, man. Now I was just giving a quick overview of the type of week, man, that has been, where from getting that first call on Monday about that friend that got put down in Trinidad had
Right.
50 shots and 11,
Yeah.
right? To
Mm-hmm.
to now, Charlie and what's going on there. And I want to jump right in, man. I want to jump right into conversation, because one of the first things that's on my heart is, it's very sad what happened, to be very clear, right? Very, very
Right.
crazy what happened. But
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that makes me wonder is people's desensitivity to sharing the video as if we're watching a movie.
Yeah, that's. I find that I think that has to do with nowadays, and not even nowadays, because this has been going on for quite some time. I think that people are very desensitized by death, very desensitized by people's trauma, and it's more of a look-see type of thing than it is a let me help. Let me figure out. It's crazy you mentioned that. Literally, maybe about 20 minutes ago, and not to jump too far from it, but did you know that I
You
want to pray for her and her family, the young lady from Ukraine
you
got
broke up.
attacked on it.
You broke
Can you
up.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. The young lady from Ukraine on the train. Did you see how the people who were sitting next to her just sat there? They didn't
No.
even help the woman. They didn't even do anything. When I'm in my mind, I was like that's like insane to me. It's
Yeah.
like insane to me.
Yeah.
That you would think that, okay, I'm just going, what I mean? I'm just going to just sit here and watch a young woman get stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a film.
And I'll film it and I'll share it. Man, this will be good content, right? It's like,
Right.
yo, this will get a lot of likes. This will get a lot of views, and there is something to be said when it comes to, uh, like the viewer just said, like they don't want to be next in getting stabbed. And my father, as a police officer, always told me, you don't necessarily run into things like that, but
Right.
you get help, right? You get help for the person who's trained. I mean, coming up from where we in Trinidad, that advice went through one ear and out the other. You kind of realize, but I totally
Right.
understand that perspective. But I really want to kind of zoom in, bro, to to the sensitivity of just sharing this type of content and putting it on your social media, and what is the message that in someone's heart to say,
Mm-hmm.
yo, look at what happened, yo, check this out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just wondering how normalized has violence, trauma, all of those things become. Like, you know what I mean? I think, and especially, is that it's become so normalized that people look at it and don't understand that there is an actual victim.
Yeah.
There's actually, you know what I'm saying? I think it just becomes, it's almost like as it's happening, it's still a movie. Even though it's real, you're viewing it, your sensitivities is the same way you would look at it as if you saw in 3D, you were sitting at home watching a 3D movie or in a movie theater watching a 3D movie, and you watch somebody get their head blown off. It's really like almost no difference. The sound is the same. You're going to hear the same boom of the gun.
Yeah.
God forbid, you're going to hear the same, and I think that it's dulling the senses to a degree. And, I think a lot of us come up through the video game era where, it already kind of started to desensitize us when we were playing GTA 5 and GTA, all these other GTAs, and watching, and we just killing, and Call of Duty, and we just run around killing, headshot, and we glorifying it. And again, it's reality. We can't take the games away. They're never going to go away. But how do we find a balance that allows us to still be humane in those types of situations? How do we remain? How do we remain connected to the other human beings that are around us that require our intervention at times, require our care, our love, our consideration? It's a tough one, brother. Tough.
So that's the first thing that really kind of hit me about this entire situation, that I feel like people are not talking about. Another thing, and then I'll love to hear from you. Another point to it is that, good or bad, right? Good or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
this kid, this dude is 31, bro. 31, has the president talking, has like the entire world. Well, let's call it um, of this country, right? The
Right,
U.S.
right,
erupted, whether in support, whether in hate, whether in whatever.
right.
And you gotta, like, to have that level of influence at 31, to me, is almost on the level, like, it's, I don't want to compare him to Jesus Christ, because that would be an overestimation.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there
yeah.
there there
That-
there are many people, bro, who at a very young age died and had this kind of impact. Well, not many people died at
right.
this young and had this level of impact on the
Mm-hmm.
world, whether it be good or bad. Because, and here's the reason why Jesus came to mind, because some people would have been happy and some people would have been mad exactly the same way.
Right.
That's the reason why that reference came to mind, right?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
it wouldn't have been everyone sad, because people killed him intentionally. It wasn't like he was assassinated,
Right.
like he was put to death, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's a split that's even happening right now with some people, and how they feel about the situation. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, I mean, that's a lot to unpack. One is, you know, I don't think, I don't think any of that senseless violence makes sense,
Yeah,
right? I think that, that happening to him is a tragedy, regardless of his views, because, everybody should be awarded the opportunity to speak their mind, and like you said, he did have a huge impact. It's been said that he partially helped Donald Trump get elected
yeah,
based on his impact, with him having a movement with the younger generation and getting them involved in politics and understanding, their power in the vote and that kind of thing. So 100%, I say that, him having that level of impact So here's where my, I gotta, my conscience, I gotta speak from my conscience. His level of impact should have, in some way or another, also allowed him or afforded him more responsibility to speak things unbiasedly, in my opinion. This is my personal opinion. So this is not, because he did have a huge impact. I think people with impact, so we're going to say, no matter what, like you said, people would have been mad whether he lived or died, right? Whether, on both sides. Some people would have been happy, some people would have been, mad. Same thing with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King is the same situation in regard to some people would have been mad that he died, which a lot of people weren't, and there was some people I'm sure were happy that he was gone, right? And I do think that when you have that level of impact, how did you affect the world? Can you say that when you left or when you were here, forget about when you leave, when you were here, did you impact the world positively or negatively? Were you in the middle? Did you pick a side, or were you for humanity? What was your impact? Because you're right, for a young man, I think he started this turning point thing at age 18, 19, somewhere around that thing.
Yeah.
He started like doing his circuit, doing his thing. And so that means he had roughly a good 11, 12-year run of speaking his points and creating this level of impact. And it's just, when you're given that level of a platform, bro, you have a responsibility. And I'm guessing his responsibility was to his cause,
Right.
and we gotta
unpack that, right? Because
unpack that. That's real.
it's every person that has a belief and stands up for it would have people who have the opposite belief.
100%.
Right.
100%.
So there's no humanity like generalization that everyone just agrees to. Like, I don't, that don't exist.
Right.
There
I
will
don't
be
think there is.
polar opposite, right? Where there's a north, there's a south, there's a east, there's a
Yeah,
west, right? Day, night. So there'll always be some kind of polar opposite. So I believe that he believes that he started his responsibility at the best of his ability.
absolutely. I agree. I agree. I believe he did what he felt he was sent here to do and what his mission and his time was. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you.
Like, I'll be honest with you, bro. In kind of just reading some of the things on him, it did make me, and again, I choose to see the world like this, all right? Like, this is just how I like to frame things to support
Right.
me versus, right? Him having that level of impact at that age inspired me. I don't care if it's good or bad. Somebody that has the ability to stand up and speak their truth fearlessly. It made me ask myself between the last 24 hours, Kes, what would life look like if you stood up for what you believe and was fearless in the same way that he's fearless in standing up for what he believes?
That's powerful, bro. For that. Yeah. You're right. You're right. What if everybody did?
Exactly. So
What if everybody did?
and again, this is kind of like one of the things that helps me to continue on and frame things that support me that piss me off, right?
Right.
Because we all have the same exact situation. Some people are going to be depressed, they're going to be upset, they're going to be like, and some people may have a different frame. My frame that I choose was or is, Kes, what if you were to stand up and have the level of courage that this dude has? Now, think about that thought, and now think about the level of conversations that you and I have had even this morning with the fearless of going live and doing this and doing that. Now, was it because of that subconsciously now I'm like, bro, you got to step it up? Because if somebody could stand up for their beliefs, not, I don't know if it's good or bad, right? Like that's, I am not the judge of that. But what I do, bro, is take what I see and be like, bro, you have a obligation to download some of that courage to be able to have a greater impact. Some people will hate me, right? Like it's gonna happen. People are gonna hate me the same way.
Absolutely.
But do I play small because I'm wondering and I'm whatevering of the people that's gonna hate me? What's your thought?
I like that a lot, brother. That's a healthy perspective, man. That taking this is a season of lessons. So you're taking a tragedy, a thing that could be looked at on both sides, right? As having this dual situation or it's making people uncomfortable or whatever it may be. But you're taking it and you're saying, how can I use this as a lesson to be more impactful? And I think that man, that's really a great message, which I know we didn't come on here with that intention, but that's a great message to share with everyone, that your voice had, because this is where you say, instead of you complaining about Charlie, make your impact just as loud as Charlie's. Right?
We're gonna be on opposite sides of something.
Something. You're gonna be on opposite sides of something. Pick your fight. Pick your stance, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I like that process. Like you said, we came on and we questioned. Did he question it, or did he just say, I'm getting on live, and I'm going to every school and college campus and say what I feel?
Bro, his level of conviction backed by his level of competence elevated, bro.
Right.
Because it didn't matter if he was talking about somebody was challenging him on black or on this or on that or whatever, like Christianity or, bro, he had a level of competence to speak.
Yes.
Like you had to hear him. You wasn't just breaking him down, and he didn't have facts, so he had knowledge, right?
Right.
Everything that he stood for. And bro, what would it look like if half of a quarter, 1% of the world had the same courage?
It would make major change.
Bro,
I honestly believe that it would make major change in major parts of society all around the world if more people stood up with that level of impact, that level of courage. And it's crazy to think about it, because I swear to you, I did not think about coming on here talking about his courage, but you brought up a great way to look at this and frame this. It's a great way, because courage being one of the pillars necessary for any advancement, right? Any advancement, because like you said, you are going to go up against opposition. So the only way you go up against opposition is having the courage to go up against that opposition, especially when that opposition is in a powerful position.
yes.
Or that you could be hurt. Because I'm sure that he's gotten threats throughout his situation.
100%.
Everybody, we could all agree that. And he still had the courage to speak his truth. So why should we ever consider ourselves voiceless or tone ourselves down and not be as loud as possible unless we are afraid,
bro,
of the things, unless we're afraid?
Bro, not to get religious, but isn't this exactly what every religion asks of their people? To have that, are you willing to die for your stance?
Yes.
Are you willing to get crucified? We all say yes.
Right. We say yes, right? But nobody wants to stand out there and stick their head out first. Nobody wants to stick their head out first, right? Well, you got some fearless leaders, but I know what you're saying, right?
Bro, the percentage is just so minuscule.
Yeah,
So
100%.
so small.
Yeah,
It
100%.
this entire thing, like, and on my, like, I'm choosing to stay off of social media unless I'm posting right now,
Right.
simply because people's perspective, whether it's left or right, or like, bro, their perspective to me is, and we all have a choice. We could all look at the same exact situation and have it empower us or have it pull us down. And for me, bro, these are the things that makes me be like, man, I'm fired up. I'm starting to
Mm.
go live. I'm starting to do these things. I got to get louder because, bro, I have a message at the same time. So if you look at this and you're just trying to be TMZ because this is some kind of news, and you, like, you're gossiping, you're like,
Mm.
I don't want to have that kind of conversation. That does not inspire me, and it pulls me down. I, like, mentally, I stay away from people like that. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes, yes. I love that perspective, but I'm telling you, I did not look at it from that angle. So that's a really clean angle to really kind of take a look at this thing from, because then it gives everyone who is now griping online, everyone who has been complaining online, it gives you an opportunity to really be heard. Go live,
Exactly.
speak up, go in your church, go around your friends and start really talking. You and your friends get on somewhere and just start building and figuring, what do we need to do to have the same kind of impact that he did? To whether it be adverse, whether it is to reverse that ideology, whatever it
Mhm.
is, why am I not speaking out in the same way? Now we want to give credit to those who are, but I don't want to say that nobody is. But for all of those who, like you said, are camera ready to take the
Yeah.
shot,
Yeah.
to film, be more ready to be proactive. And like I said, you said it's not just about posting it on your social, because you desensitize what the value, like, that you just kind of brought out, the value of a person who's willing to be courageous, to speak their mind, and to utilize and to sacrifice themselves as a vessel for their message.
So, bro, you asked a question that is raising my conviction even more. And I might be a crazy guy just going hard because you just convicted me even more, because the answer to your question is my conviction. You asked, what is it about him and why do people not do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This man was clear on his purpose, bro.
Mm.
This man was clear on his purpose. He was clear on why. I talk about two things: identity, who am I, and why am I here? When you have that level of direction and purpose, like, nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters.
And that's the thing that I talk about. And my voice isn't amplified as much to raise up more people like him.
Mm. Mm. Interesting.
You see what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
Mike,
No. No. No.
you
No.
just,
It's real interesting. Yeah. Right. No. 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 So let me ask you, right? So with this level of that you're identifying with this, right? And it's tapping into your conscience to say, this is how, this is how I could tap into my message and be louder. what do you what do you think it takes? What level of dedication, what level of discipline do you think it takes for you to be that loud consistently?
well, let's not skip steps, because the you will not be consistent or that loud if you don't know who you are and why you're here, first of all.
Mhm.
So the first step is getting those two things locked in, because it's only when you have those things, then are you willing to be like, I don't care who sees me, I don't care who's coming for me, I don't care. This is why I live, this is why I'm here. So the level of
Mhm.
conviction isn't as grounded and rooted unless you know who you are, identity, and why you're
Right.
here, your purpose. So that's
So for a person that sits back, that's sitting here listening, right?
yeah.
How do they may feel that they want to talk about this, right? They may feel that they want to have a cause. How do they get to the point of saying, this is my purpose and this, because this is my identity? Because I identify who I am, how do they, because it's challenging for most people. And I've asked this question to people, you know, as we've been having our discussions. Do you know, how do you identify yourself? What is your identity? And I'm not talking about your job. I'm not talking about your title. I'm not talking about none of that. What is your identity?
Those are roles, and there's a very big difference between your role and your identity. And
100%.
and this is why, bro, like if we, I speak on the foundation method, right? And there's spirituality, spiritual, mental, physical, relational. This is why I group this in the spiritual pillar, because your identity, most people's identity is rooted in their belief.
Okay.
Because I believe in Christianity and in Christ and in God and that narrative, good or bad, like it's not about the religion,
Right.
but because I have a belief in that, my identity is rooted in that. So if I believe that I'm a child of God and all the things that he's saying is true, and I am made of him, then I'll walk and do things that he did without fear. That because I identify with that.
Okay.
I think it's really hard, very hard, to have a unshakable identity without some level of source. Even I don't care if it's the universe, like I don't care what your belief and thing that you're holding on to, because even if it was the universe, you would believe that you're all power. And so you would still walk different. You still walk at a level of authority and all that type of stuff.
Right. So let me ask you, so in that sense, you, and I'm just, because I'm just going off of, I know we might be getting people who are just at different walks in different areas. What if a person doesn't have a level of conviction in their spirituality? How do they, where would they start in their identity process? Would they have to become spiritual first to identify, or is there something else beyond that? You know, that pillar, let's call it that pillar. Is there something else beyond it that they could use to begin to build or identify with who they are based on their ideology, their belief?
Yeah. So again, Charlie had his belief and he identified as Christian, right? Like that's what he identified as.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I do not, with the thousands of people that I've helped, bro, and coached, I have not seen someone who was unshakable have a consistent level of belief and structure without having that spiritual pillar. Like I haven't.
Okay.
It's the operating system that we come from. Everything that we say, do, believe, everything is rooted in who we are.
Interesting.
And that shapes what you do. So if there's not a rooting in who you are, it's bro, you would have all the imposter syndromes, you would have all the shiny object syndromes, you would have all of the things because you're not rooted in nothing.
Right. And I'm only going to play, I'm playing God's advocate just because people are coming to mind, people who I know.
Do it.
And I'm wondering, like, okay, so a brother who is atheist, which that's a really funny word. You got to look up, you know, you got to have context around that word. But just for the sake of, I know most people's general idea of atheist means that they don't believe in God. But they just,
Mhm.
it really just means you don't believe in that one supreme being governing everything. But a person who's an atheist, who has, let's just say, accomplished, I guess accomplishments are not necessarily your purpose.
Mm-mm.
Just because you've accomplished a lot does not mean you've actually lived out your purpose.
No. And
Right.
I
Okay.
have countless stories of people who have made billions of dollars, billions, who
100%.
suicide, unhappy, all of those things. So
100%. So that's not it. Okay. No. I was just thinking about it, but you're right. Yeah, that wouldn't negate that thought. To actually live in purpose, you have to have an identity, and that identity needs to be rooted in some higher power. That's
and
higher power. It doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be God, it doesn't have to be Allah, it doesn't have to be Islam. It has to be a higher power,
bro,
something greater than yourself.
look at every single influential person that you may have um, watched or in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single person, you would be able to trace some level of root to their beliefs.
Yes. I would
There's
say yes.
there's none that didn't have that level of root as to who they are.
Especially the loudest voices.
Exactly.
Especially, yeah. The more I'm thinking about, I'm trying to find somebody to kind of negate that claim, right? I'm thinking of him in my head as I'm doing it, not as a purpose to challenge it, but just as to see, so that we can use them as a
That's it.
specimen,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, just to test it. But really and truly, as I'm going through I don't care if it's Napoleon, I don't care if we're talking about Stokely Carmichael, they still are rooted in a, the millions of people, Jomo Kenyatta, they had an African spirituality system. Some had a Greek. It doesn't matter who, Alexander the Great. It doesn't matter who it was. They had some spiritual context. And when we say spiritual, it does not mean religion.
Yeah.
Just does not mean religion. Mm. That's interesting, brother, because a lot of people who are who have an identity now truly don't know or have not. That may be a false identity, which
It's
is what's holding them back from
it's
making the
unshakable.
kind of impact that Charlie had.
Exactly. It's shake,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Because to have impact, you're gonna have opposition. And if you're not rooted in an unshakable identity, bro, you'd be thrown off. You stop.
Knock you off your square. Yeah, they
You
knock you off
fall
your square
down.
easy. Mm-hmm. Knock you off your square real easy.
So
Which,
to me, bro, like I look at this entire situation, man, and everything that's happening, and I'm like, wow. And it's just the way my mind works in terms of kind of pulling it apart to be able to pull the things that serve me. I believe we all have the ability to look at the same situation and you could
right,
pull the things that could serve you or not. I think
100%.
that is the secret to life.
That is the gift given to man
Oh
by the
man.
Most High, for sure. Is that he has the ability to perceive things in a different way from others, and the collaboration of that is what advances humanity.
Yes.
The collaboration of these different ideas of the same exact thing.
Same
And we're
exact.
both looking at the same exact lion attack the gazelle. But I'm seeing it one way, you're seeing it another way, and so is the third person seeing it a different way. And because of that collaboration of ideas on what we saw, we can figure out that we need a weapon. we need to develop which kind of weapon. Now we go into, so I'm with you. I can see I understand the collaborativeness of these different ideas in order for the humanity to survive.
It has to be, bro. It,
That's interesting.
without it, you are going to suffer in life. You
Mhm.
suffer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and let me make it personal. Going through a divorce 15 years ago, I had to use perspective to be able to now look at it and be like, this is what makes me want to have a blissful marriage and help men in their marriage, right? My perspective on it, I had to switch.
Right.
When I stopped playing music as an international DJ and everybody was trolling me and was making memes about me and all that type of stuff, I had to change my perspective. When we started real estate and my wife's mom died, I had to change my perspective and keep going.
Right.
When we had a miscarriage, I had to shift my perspective. Like every single challenge that I have had in life, and I believe, bro, knowing my purpose and knowing why I'm here and who I'm rooted in gives me this secret code to keep going. The enemy would try to take me out.
Right. Right.
He would do everything to try to take me out.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. That you said, when you really think about it, although I've transitioned through different paradigms of spirituality, I've always had the spiritual pillar. Always. And that has given me some level of groundedness in reality and the ability to overcome, because I knew that there was something higher, whatever that was. And at different times in my life, it was different things, you know?
Yeah.
It was different things, but I always had a clear, unwavering understanding that there was something above myself.
Yeah.
That was a guiding principle.
And this is where the compounding effect comes, like, to me, what it is. You have spirituality, so identity, then you have purpose. And only after you have those two should you work on your mindset. And I'll tell you, because mindset is the amplification of who you are and why you're here. Like, when you start having a mindset to start amplifying and being like, all right, I gotta, I want to do more, or I want to help X people or whatever. If you don't have direction on that mindset, you're just gonna be amplifying nothingness.
Right.
Or you amplify the wrong thing.
And then you got to undo all that you've done.
You got to start over. You got to rebuild.
Right. You got to start. You got to rebuild.
You see what I'm
saying? And who has time for that right now, right? To rebuild. Especially when you know, or you should know, or that you could know, and the fact that there is information like the information that you have that can help to avoid that wasted time. That wheels spinning for no reason and you're going nowhere because you're not grounded in anything, because you're not making the contact with the ground in a way to move forward. You're not making contact with a grounded reality. And man, just as we tying this back to Charlie, I'm just thinking how, you know, you brought out another side of it, man, that we could all, and I don't care which side of the aisle you on, or what you believe about what he said. This has absolutely nothing to do with what he said at this point.
It doesn't.
This has more to do with what he did with his essence, because of his identity to his thing, because he was in his purpose of what he felt was right. It gave him the ability to impact, which I think so many influencers now, man, they influencers, but they're not impactful.
Exactly.
They're not impactful at all. Yeah, they could be gone tomorrow and it wouldn't change a thing. They could, you know what I'm saying? They could drift off the planet tomorrow and nothing would change. Nobody would mourn them really in terms of the impact that they had on their life. I just saw a video, and I was hoping we was on another platform, but I was going to show it. There was a video of a man after Charlie got unalived. Man, this is a grown man. I'm talking about balling, man. Balling for this guy. Because of the impact that he had on him. And he kept saying, why can't we just use our words
Mm.
and just talk. That man was talking, and it doesn't matter what you felt about what he was talking about. Why can't you just yell louder than him then? But why you have to silence him through those means to get him to stop?
Because it requires you to know who you are and why you're here. And
Mm,
those two things are the most difficult things that any human being have to do, to look themselves in the mirror and identify as something and have that purpose for that thing. It
mm,
it takes incredible courage to say no to everything else and be like, this is the reason why I live.
right, right.
It takes incredible courage. And that's not a picture, or it's not something that most people are willing to do.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And
No.
you just brought something to my mind. We'll talk about this another time. The philosophy of no. Such a powerful word, man. No, I'm not doing that.
The,
No, I'm not succumbing to those lower self drives and urges. No, I'm not.
but
No.
brother, this is, again, wouldn't it be, all right, here's an example. Both of us, we live in Georgia, right?
Mm,
If it is
mm,
that we're like, yo, let's go to Universal Studio out in Florida, right? That's the direction that we're going.
right,
If somebody says, yo, I'm going to Texas, could I have a ride? We'll be like, yo, we going Florida. We ain't going
right,
Texas,
right,
right? Because
right,
there's an address in our GPS.
mm,
Most
right,
people are just joyriding without an address, bro. So when somebody else comes along and say, yo, you want to go to Texas? All right, let me see what's going on over there. Oh, you want to go to Ohio? Yo, let's roll. Bro,
right,
no address in your GPS. So you just kind of waver with whatever you see online.
right, right. You don't have a purpose. You
Don't
just
have that
joyride.
purpose.
You just joyriding. Anybody joyriding doesn't have a purpose. They just
That's what I'm
they
saying.
just they just they just along for the ride. They don't care. They really don't care. Even though they may think they do, they really don't care where they end up.
Bro,
They just riding.
my 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 hope is that those who have ears to hear and get past themselves
Mm.
and looking for a deeper meaning should look at this and be, how could I be like Charlie and stand up for what I believe?
Ooh, you're gonna get some people crazy. How can I be like Charlie? Because you know what? They're not gonna be able to look past the message.
Hmm.
But they need to. But I fully understand you. But boy, you're gonna get some people that's gonna say, "How can I be like Charlie?" Not understanding that you are not talking about his message.
No, it's nothing
You're
to
talking about his identity, his the fact that he knew who he was and where he wanted to go clearly.
courage, bro. It's
And
courage.
his courage to stand
No,
on that.
yeah,
Because
bro.
sometimes we can know our purpose and still don't have the courage to follow through. Because we've spoken to people who have said, "I always knew I wanted to, teach somebody something. I always knew I wanted to, but I just wasn't courageous enough." But you had the purpose. You knew that your purpose was to teach or to help or to whatever, but you didn't have the courage to stand up and do it.
That's
Despite the family saying no, your husband or wife saying no, your kids pulling at you, you didn't have the courage.
but
So the
bro,
world missed out on that.
you wouldn't believe how many people have come into contact with their purpose and said no to it because of the work that it would take, and
Ooh,
because
wait.
of not willing to give up their current identity and their
Mm,
current roles. That's
mm.
the one reason why people don't walk in their purpose. Number one,
Right, right. That's
not
big.
not that they haven't seen it, they don't have the courage to, or the tools to learn how to turn off and be like, all right, I'm going to be less of this and more of that. and,
That's big,
and
yes.
again, this is why it's a burden for me, because when I was a DJ, I used to identify as a DJ, when I stopped being a DJ, bro, I didn't even know who Keston was.
Mm.
I was lost. I went to Egypt for 10 days to figure out who Keston is. Because I was so lost, bro.
That's big.
And then when
I
I
can
was
see that.
9 to 5er, well, it actually began when I was married and then got divorced. I don't know who I was.
Right.
This
So how could you lead? How could you lead somebody else? Right? How could you lead somebody else if you don't know who you was?
bro.
It's not even possible.
And so there are these compounding things that made me have to look at this identity purpose thing. And once I got it, once I was able to separate who I was from what I do and really lock into my identity and my purpose,
Right.
bro, the courage is, I feel like I'm still working through courage. I have a lot,
Yeah.
but even this conversation is based on how can I amplify what I already know, because I have the first 2 pillars now, right?
Right.
I even
Right.
have a very good mindset as well, but now it's the amplification of it.
And amplification is based on courage. So now, and this is, you know, I may have my own ideas on this, right? But I want to hear your thoughts on how do you develop after you've got an identity and purpose. How do you develop the courage? What is it that allows you to be courageous? What is it that allows you to stand in the face of opposition, in the face of naysayers, of the face of people who you love, who are telling you, nah, you know, bro, that shit is, yeah, that's right. That might not go, that might not fly, whatever.
Yeah.
How do you build that? Because I'm gonna assume that's that's something that has to be built upon, you know?
I'm gonna answer your question, but I wanna answer Casher's question first, where he said, "Do you think he knew where his purpose would end this way?" And again, my answer to is, if you look at Jesus Christ, right? You looked at that, being willing to die for your purpose. So all right, let's not look at Jesus Christ. That might be too unrelatable for most people. Let's look at
I was gonna tell you to bring it down a little. I was gonna tell you to bring it down.
So if we were to look at Malcolm X, if we were to look at
Malcolm X is good. Malcolm X is good because it would be almost
but
full opposite.
But
In
there's
that sense.
so many more. What's this
Absolutely.
guy South
Hundreds
Africa?
of them. Absolutely.
What's his name?
Torre, Ibrahim Torre.
Him, but also somebody else, Johannesburg. Man, we went
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Like, there's so many people that was willing to go to jail for their purpose.
For the cause.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that
he knew the possibility.
This is like, bro, one of the principles I say for purpose is that you will be tested. Your purpose will be tested to see if you're validated or not.
Yeah.
Are you willing to die for your purpose?
That's a heavy one. Because most people say it, but they really not. They're really not ready.
And I
don't know. I don't know when the switch hits that you are ready. That's a heavy call, and like you really, like you said, you putting yourself in a league of those people that we're mentioning who are impactful when you're ready to take that level of commitment up to the point where I am ready to die. But you know what's crazy? You just said that. How many people say they're willing to die for their children?
Exactly.
Say they're willing to die for their children. How do you connect the commitment to your children's livelihood, being willing to die for them, to your purpose to say, I'm that same level of conviction and willingness to go whatever route it takes for that to come to fruition? How do you There is an unconditionalness to something that has to happen. Because I know I'm thinking about with my children, and I've said this, I would do anything for them to survive and be okay. Right?
Bro, honestly, I believe that when you are walking in purpose, you develop a level of conviction that goes beyond what you would even do for your kids. I do believe.
Mm, mm.
I do believe that. That is my conviction.
It's crazy you said that, right? And as you say that, right, I'm thinking about a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King and his house being bombed and his children being in, his children's lives being put in jeopardy, right? It didn't matter. His purpose was so big that he had to take those chances. I know that sounds cold, but
Yeah.
he knew that that was a real possibility. And not only, it didn't just happen once, and his family wasn't just threatened once.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He still said, I'm gonna die either for my children, I'm gonna die for my cause, but I'm not gonna give up on either one. That's a heavy commitment and level of courage, but it only comes with you knowing, like you said, your true purpose. Not the purpose that sounds good, not the purpose that looks good on paper, but your true purpose,
All right, bro.
which is
Let's get real. And I have to go to the Bible because this is what I'm rooted in, right?
mm-hmm.
But I want to make it. I want to bring some context to this because I think it's important
Mm-hmm.
for the station. I'm pulling it up now, and
Okay.
just for context, bro. When I left New York to come to Atlanta and
Mm-hmm.
left my mom, my son, everyone, everything that I knew as life to come to Atlanta to serve what I seen as my wife. Most people thought I was crazy, right?
Right. Right.
Most people thought I was crazy. And you know what? The scripture, I can't find the right translation and my computer is stuck now. So I'm gonna just read whatever translation that I see now.
Okay.
You know the scripture that made me move? Jesus
Mm-hmm.
talking to his disciples, and is Matthew 19. And
Matthew 19.
yeah,
And I'm
and it,
saying that because I'm actually talking with some people on TikTok and I want them to know what it is. So they need to look it up as well. Matthew 19.
yeah, and it says, and anyone, and this is King James, and everyone,
Okay.
not on King James, they be doing too much in King James for me.
He said too much deep down. right,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Okay.
Like, why is this sticking now, bro? This is crazy. Okay, here we go. We freed up. All right, 1929, right? That's
Right.
the scripture.
Okay.
And
1929 is the scripture. 1929 Matthew
yeah,
is the scripture. Okay. Go ahead.
and here it is. And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or fathers or mothers or wife or children or fields for my sake will receive 100 times more and will inherit eternal life.
Mm, mm,
You know
mm.
how that translated to me? Anyone who is willing to live in their purpose. Now, what is my purpose rooted in? It's rooted in my identity.
Right.
Christianity is my identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how I connect the dots, anyone who is willing to seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness will be added to you. Seek ye first the kingdom. Anyone who's willing to seek ye first the kingdom, then you're
Mm-hmm.
first. Anybody, they will receive 100 times more. And that's what made me leave my son. That's what made me my mother. That's what made me leave all of my family in New York. It was that verse.
Everything you knew. Right.
Because I'm committed. And as a husband, there is the love your wife like how Christ loved the church.
Right.
So I was willing to do anything. And still, because of my conviction as to how I see myself as a man of God. It drives my behavior, bro.
For anyone who leaves their mother, their father, their sons, their friends, for my sake, and we're going to say for somebody who is not rooted in Christianity, they could substitute my sake being Islam, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Whatever their thing is, if they are willing to leave behind, which means in essence a sacrifice.
Yeah.
For the sake of that higher thing that they are understand their calling to, will be given. And when they say 100 times, it's really just they will be giving everything they need, everything they want, everything they truly deserve based on their effort, the commitment to that thing that they're going to commit to. Wow, that's heavy, man. That's a but that level of commitment, bro. That level of identifying with the thing, the kingdom, because the kingdom is whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Identifying with the kingdom and knowing that you have rights to it and it is yours to enjoy and to be fruitful in. You got to know that to be willing to commit to that.
And you don't walk like it if you don't identify as
you don't identify. You can't walk like that unless you identify. No, you can't. You can't walk like that without.
You know what I'm saying? And
no, you can't.
That's the level of commitment. That's the level of commitment I have. And still building my courage, right? I can't say I'm on, again, I'm going to use this word or phrase. I can't say that I have Charlie levels of commitment yet. I can't say that.
Right. Right.
But I can sure to hell be inspired and work towards it.
Mm-hmm. I hope people look past Charlie, because I'm sure people expect.
I don't care what people expect.
Now it's beautiful, and you shouldn't, 100%.
See, this is the problem. The problem is we try to be accepted versus our conviction.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm even in going down that road. Like, it doesn't matter what people think.
Doesn't matter what they think. I got you. That's the level of commitment you have to have, that you don't even care. Yeah, 100%. 100%. No, you 100%. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter.
If the Bible is saying anyone who's willing to do that, then who's random people on social media?
Right. Who are they? Right. Why do we hold them up against that word of wisdom? Why do we hold them in that regard? Right? That's crazy.
Those are the stories we tell ourselves, and those are the reprogramming of the mind. This is where my conviction come in, because if we were to generalize it or use clinical words, this is where the imposter syndrome and all of these things come in, and we stay out of our mission and our purpose, and we don't live in it.
Right, right. We could fake ourselves out.
Exactly.
Giving ourselves all these terms and medical loopholes as to why I can't work it. Right.
And man, my perspective may change as I learn more.
Mm-hmm.
When I got started on this journey, I used to help people with their mindset primarily, right?
Right.
It was mindset, performance. But the more people I've helped is the more I've realized that it begins with identity. And that's the reason why I go all in on having an unshakable identity now, because I don't care what you're trying to buy. I don't care what goals you're trying to set. The reason why you feel as if you're not as far as where you need to be right now is because the identity does not align with the goals that you have. That is it. Your identity is the problem.
Your identity is the problem.
First, then the next is your purpose. And when you can align those two, then we can work on your mindset. And then we got through the rewiring of your subconscious mind, because your body remembers the score, right? So now you got to go through this level of rewiring and retraining, which is where neurology comes in. And now you're able to now rewire your neural pathways. So it's so much to change. I had to go from being motivational and just giving words to transformation.
Right.
Motivation ain't gonna help with change.
Motivation stops the minute you stop motivating.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you stop talking, their motivation goes down. They need to come back and get another pep talk. That's not sustainable.
It ain't helping nobody. You're not having the level of impact.
Yeah.
Sustained impact that you could have if it is that.
I think we need to focus on that then. From everything that, but obviously I've been a part of, your philosophy and your understanding on that. So it's very important. I think it's very important that we focus on identity then before we even go into anything else. They need to have a clear, because really, if we really want people to be loud and impactful, and we really want people, I don't care what you want to do. I don't care what your voice is about. I don't care what your message is about, but to really say it loud with conviction, with passion, the identity piece has to come first.
1000%.
And if that's the case, then how do we help all these people with identity? How do we help ourselves? How do we continue to make sure that we are identifying with the true source of who we are? Like, how do we help millions of people, whoever it is? How do we help one? Forget about a million. How do we help one person right now identify who they truly are?
Bro, this is my obsession. This here is my obsession. And this is why I go all in on this, because I have had this revelation, and again, I had to watch this. I had to be willing to be seen different as people thinking on the outside. Again, I can't care what people think, because as I gain knowledge, I realize that I have to focus on someone's identity versus go after real estate, go do this, and all of the things that I used to promote fully first. Change the order.
You had to change the order. Right.
Which is why now it starts with the identity blueprint. It's the conviction in having this revelation, bro, and having people get to know who they are. You're not going to be helped. Having Charlie's level of conviction starts with your identity. And that's where it starts.
Right. So the accumulation of things that we going to consider our rewards for your hard work don't happen. Truly sustainable rewards don't happen until you start with the first part.
Exactly. Sustainable.
All those things are fleeting.
But unshakable is the key word, right? What, again, Bible, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth fruit in due season. Being planted is that's what makes you become unshakable. But it doesn't mean that you're not gonna change. Like, seasons aren't gonna change.
It doesn't mean you don't move with the times and adapt to the circumstances. Your roots never move. Your roots never let go. You're rooted in something.
Exactly.
You're rooted in something. You're rooted in your identity. You could maneuver. You can adapt to the environments.
Bro, we tripping. We have a meeting with the developer.
Oh shoot! All right, yo, yeah, let's go. Let's go. I forgot. Yeah, let them know we coming right now. We coming.
All right.
All right. Listen.
Thank,
Well, thank you.
thank you guys.
Listen, man. Good conversation, bro. We're tapping. We're tapping again tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good. Look, he just
All right.
texted right now.
All right, bro.
I,
All right, later.
I
All right.
thank you guys for tapping in. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and got some value out of it. All right. Peace.
Peace.